Hey, fabulous first graders, Miss Taylor here. Today we're going to learn fiction story elements, and we're going to kind of talk about what is fiction. Now, when you're reading a book, and maybe that book has talking characters, maybe it has talking animals, or you can just tell that the story is fake and cannot happen in real life, like a talking mouse, like in Cinderella. That is an example of fiction because mice don't really talk in real life. So we're going to be talking about what is fiction and talk about the elements and how we can determine if a book is fiction. So here are some story elements that we're going to be learning about. So we start with the characters. And the characters are the people, or there's animals, or things in a story. So like the nouns. So those are the characters who are in the story. The next one we're going to be talking about is the setting. Where and when does a story take place? So a story can take place in a forest or in a house, and it can be at different times of the day. Maybe it's specific and it'll say lunchtime, or maybe it'll be specific about a season and it'll be during the winter. So those are the settings. Setting is not only where the story takes place, but when the story takes place. And then sometimes there's a problem. Something bad happens, something gets lost, something gets broken. That can be a problem. And a problem is something that goes wrong in a story. It can be challenging for the characters in the story, and they have to overcome that problem and solve it with a solution, which is one of the story elements we're learning about right now. Solution is how the problem and what solves the problem, right? So like if, let's see, my problem could be, or a problem in a story could be that a character's tooth is loose, right? And then maybe that tooth falls out and the character didn't know that the tooth fell out. So it's a lost tooth. So the solution would have to be something for the reader to do to find the lost tooth, right? So let's see the next slide to see what other story elements. Move myself. There we go. Okay, so fiction. The purpose of a fiction story is to entertain. Fiction stories can be very entertaining for us because they are interesting to read about. We are engaged. They're not very boring. And we can read to enjoy. And then there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we'll practice that this week when we're starting our retell for fiction books. And here's the story elements again. There's characters, setting and time, problem, and the solution. And I wrote a little note here for us, and it says fiction stories also can have talking animals, and that's called dialogue. When characters in the book are talking, that's called dialogue. So it's something else we're going to learn today. Now, I want to still share my screen here with you. And these are some story cards that we have in class. So we start with the who. The who is always going to be your characters. They can be people or they can be animals if your story has talking animals. Okay. Next could be the where. Where does the story take place? The setting. The setting of the story could be anywhere, in a city, in a forest, or in a house. Those are just some examples for us. And then we have when. When is also part of the setting. It tells you when something happens, like time or seasons. That's why there's seasons here for us. Or night or day. Okay. And then we have our what. What is the problem? The part that something is going wrong in the story. And then how does that problem get solved is the solution. That's our last card, okay? So I'm going to upload a book for you, and it's a leveled reader, so you can practice trying to retell that story using all these story cards, right? And it's just practice for today. focus on who the characters are. There's also a brain pop video over characters that you can watch. Okay, thanks.